Hey, peace, peace, peace. We thank the Creator for allowing. Peace, peace, peace. Let me turn this down. We thank the Creator for allowing. Peace, peace, peace. Turn this down. All right. Thank the Creator for allowing me to be here today. This is my Shabbat. I don't know if you celebrate the Shabbat, but if you do, happy Shabbat. Peace, peace, shalom, shalom. And if you don't celebrate the Shabbat, I'd like to thank you for welcome. I'd like to thank you and welcome you to ITFTR Network. This is the Indigenous Talk for the Righteous Network for the Hebrew Israelites. And we thank the Creator for just allowing me to be here, allowing me to be throughout the week or the 6 days, to be able to do work and to come to this point in my life to be able to just come and tell the Creator, thank you for all the protection that He has given me. Because, without His protection, then it'd be vain. So I thank the Creator for everything that He has done, everything that He's doing. Rather if I have to walk alone or if others wants to join with me. But I still keep the Creator in mind. I still keep the Creator in my focus. And I put the Creator in my actions. It's amazing how we do things in life. When we see the truth, we ignore the truth. Just to be able to do some of the things that we want to do according to desire. But before we move forward, let us blow the shofar. All praises to the Creator. It's a beautiful thing when you come to an understanding about self. It's beautiful. Because one thing I do know is that when you come to an understanding about self, you're going to see a lot of people walk away from you. They're not going to try to understand you. They're going to try to always see fault in you. And you're going to see a lot of friends that you grew up with on a different side of the fence from you, simply because they want to continue in the path that they're in. But before we move forward, before we move further again, let's go to the words of encouragement. We thank the Creator for just bringing us to this 7th day, which is called the Shabbat. We thank the Creator for the energy, the movement, the agility that we still have within our bodies, rather young or old or middle age. We thank the Creator for even giving us the mind of cognitive, of thinking, roof over our head, even in the time of oppression, food to eat, even though it may not be righteous food. When I mean by righteous, we ain't talking about no pork. We ain't talking about no shrimps. We ain't talking about things that goes against the dietary law, but we know that these folks is manufacturing food. But we are still being provided for and still have the health of our bodies. We thank the Creator for allowing us to understand what a legacy is and the bloodline is. We thank the Creator for just bringing us to this point of being able to understand that we must and need to return back to self. And I ask the Creator to open up our minds and our hearts so as that we can see the things that is going to be talked about today. Because after the fall came the antediluvian world. That's the world of the serpent. So we thank the Creator as we move forward. Protect us, guide us, and lead us into everything according to your will. Salah, peace. Hallelujah. So we're going to move forward. But before we move forward, I ask you to please press that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. And also share. And if you like to give, we do have a Cash App at the bottom. That's up to you. You can see it as at the bottom. That's scrolling down on the screen. Indigenous Talk for the Righteous Entertainment LLC Network. But that's up to you if you choose to want to give. But we're going to move forward. And if you would like to join the panel, the link is in the chat. You can come on up and we can have a discussion. If you don't want to come up and if there's any questions, you can put the question in the chat and it will be answered to the best of the ability that we have the understanding about. So if you haven't yet caught this series, we're on part 19. That's how much information that was given. We're not running through this thing. We are slow walking it. It's raining over here in my part of the world. I don't know about your part. Pagan Day Memorial is here. You memorializing those who have conquered you. I'm not making fun of it, but that's the truth. It's called Memorial Day. You're memorializing and you're remembering when they first came here to conquer you. So we thank the Creator for us understanding and accepting the truth. So as we move forward, I advise you that if you haven't yet checked out any of the parts, go back and watch it from part 1 all the way up to part 19. Because we did throw out and we are going to continue to throw out more good information that will help you grow into learning what the scriptures is. Because one thing before we get into it, we have to realize a lot of people say that the Bible is fake. That's King James word. It's not King James words. They took the Bible, they took your words from you, they packaged it, put themselves in it, and gave it back to you and had people that look like you teach it the way they want it to be taught to you. But now the truth is coming out now. Now we are recognizing and understanding the descriptivism, the geographies, the foods, the waters, the lands, and etc., the animals, the reptiles that the Bible speaks of in Torah. And as we get further into this lesson, not today, but as we keep going further into the lesson, you're going to figure out where the Bible was taking place at. That's why we can't run through this thing. We have to slow walk it. So we're on after the fall of Adam, the nation of Adam. We are on the point that Cain, his son, and Abel, their son, had to pick up the pace of where they left off, because you got to remember, Adam had to fight now. They had to form warfare in order to eat now. because life is not going to be as pleasant to them no more as it was from the enclosure. Even though they were still in the enclosure, the Creator caused a famine to go across the enclosure, which we call the garden. And so now they have to go out of the enclosure when it doesn't produce for them to be able to eat. Now you have to realize who they are going among, because Adam's, he saw everything leaving from out of his hands. He literally saw it. And there's nothing that he can do about it. Adam became more unstable. Adam became more angry. Adam became more violent because he realized what was taking place in his life. He could have stopped it, but he didn't, because he wanted to what? He wanted to continue to, allow his wife to move forward into doing what she did. But we think, oh, I meant to do that. I'm trying to do something else. But he didn't do, he realized that it wasn't a problem for his wife, having rulership, because in the beginning it says, let them have dominion. That means together. Male and female have to have rulership together, not separate. Man ain't ruling woman, and woman ain't ruling man. Both are ruling together, and they have to know how to rule within themselves first. But the man is the protector, the provider for the house. And if the female is out of place from him protecting and providing, then there's where you're going to have a problem. Because each one has their own purpose inside of house. And what Eve did wrong, she went and began to go into something without the thought, opinion, reference, or without even her husband being a part of it. So that caused a friction, which is a split. So now they have to deal with it. And now they, when things went wrong, when the Bible says, and Adam knew his wife, meaning he's now having sex. But then why you ask the question, why the statement was saying that, look what the Lord has given me. This is what Eve said. It's because Adam went in her wrong. He had the wrong energy with him. So they produced the baby in the wrong energy. That's why she did not say the same thing with Abel. Because the second time as he had sex with her, he went into her the right way with the right energy, the right mindset. That's why a lot of people don't understand why their children come out a way that they come out, because the way the man goes inside of the woman is how the child is going to be pushed from the woman. So if the male goes inside of the woman wrong, if he sleep with her in the wrong position, wrong places, with the wrong mindset, with the wrong motive, then you're going to have a baby that come out with the wrong motive. They're going to come out doing the same thing. That baby is the energy of you. That's the energy of you, family. So that's the reason why there was not what you call unification among the two brothers. And because there was no unification among the two brothers, that's the reason why you seen the things happen. Because why? Neither one of them because according to the book of Jasher, Abel didn't allow his animals to respect Cain's properties, venue. And it was crossing over, eating for whatever reason. So when things came about and when it came about and everything went the way it went, Cain killed Abel, threw his body in the orifice. That's like a well or like a hole in the riverbed. And he was arrogant about it because remember, just stepping back a little bit, Adam gave Cain the opportunity when he brought an offering to repent, to make amends, and he didn't. Because it wasn't about him making amends, it was about him continuing that energy that he was created in. And that's the reason why when the energy, when he killed his brother, he was arrogant about it. When he was told to make amends, he was arrogant about it. And even as he was getting put out of the garden, he was arrogant about it. But then reality hit. He was like, "Oh man, hold on. So if somebody see me, they ask about me. They come next to me. They realize who I am. Blah 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 blah. Somebody gonna kill me. They would slay me." But then Adam put a mark on him. What was the mark? The mark was keeping the family's banner, meaning as he was exiled from the family, he could have kept the family's name, but he had no more dealings. He could not come back. He couldn't ever come back. So it was like he was never born. So you don't think that angered him more? He couldn't come back to his family. He was exiled. He was done. No family, nothing. Only thing he had was the family's banner, name. But he wasn't connected to them. He had to now go and find a life of his own. If you ever watch the Animal Channel, when the father lion, the male lion, the head lion come and kick that teenager out, and if that teenager don't have a brother, that teenager becomes what is called a nomad. He continued to do what? Wander until he could find a pride to be among, or he connect with other male lions that can help him survive. So this is what was going on with Cain. So then I stopped everything. I didn't go into chapter 4 yet. And what I did, I started bringing to the point of Cain, because before we can realize the actual point of Cain's position in the land of Nod, that was sitting next to the enclosure, we have to now realize who is Cain going among. Because a lot of us will just run past that thing. Because Cain was going among others. And the Creator built an enclosure and put the nation of Adam in the enclosure for a reason. But a lot of us will just run right past that. We wouldn't try to figure out who was there, what he was scared of. Oh, yeah, well, there was other people there. Okay, who was those people? Why was he afraid of them? Those people were the same ones who Eve listened to. And it wasn't so much of the people, it was the system that the people were following. Okay? Before we get started, let's grab a couple of scriptures. We're going to start at Exodus 20, verse 1 and 2. Because we have to understand that there's nothing new under the sun. And we have to start putting this thing in perspective. The Creator did not want Eve and Adam to eat off that tree. Not saying that they couldn't eat off the tree. It's not saying that they couldn't. It was just saying that they had to be in the right mind, the right frame of mind. They had to have an understanding. They have to have the knowledge about something before they get involved in it. Because the Creator didn't want Adam and Eve to be reckless. He didn't want Adam and Eve to be reckless. No. He wanted Adam and Eve to be righteous. And a righteous man always think before he speak. And a righteous man always gain understanding before he do. And that's why that's why when I taught on the 3rd chapter, Eve was not tricked. How was you tricked when she saw? And when you look up the word saw, she investigated, she evaluated it. She went to gain understanding about that thing. So she wasn't tricked. She knew what she was doing before she did it. She knew what she was doing before she did it. She knew what she was doing. So Exodus 20, verse 1 and 2. It says, and the Creator spake all these words, saying, I am the Creator, your power, which have brought thee out of the land of Mizraim, or Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Okay? Now, this the first thing Israel had to pay attention to. The nation of Israel had to pay attention to. He brought them out. They were brought out of the house of bondage. And as they were brought from out of the house of bondage, they had to understand who brought them from out of the house of bondage. Okay? Verse 3 says, thou shalt have no other what? Gods before me. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. See, that means no other gods supposed to be in the midst of your position. No other gods. Now, the first thing you'll think about is statues, or you say a car or a house, but we're going to get further than just that. Or people. We're going to get further than that today. Last week, I already started showing you some of the gods. And when I brought out some of these mythology gods, I was showing you their roles, because the roles of those gods are very important. And that's why when we get into chapter 4, we're going to get into the names of Cain. Gene line. Verse 4 says, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images. And a graven image means something that was designed for you to follow. Now, that's very important. Now, because a design has to first be mental. It has to be mental. It has to be a thought. And that thought comes from something that you've learned about, and something that you came to an understanding about, and something that you saw. That's how you create what is called an image. It's not something that you just happen to just so lucky to just create. You create images from things that was already there. And notice what it says, or any likeness of anything that is what? In the heavens above. So that means you got to understand what a heaven is. And you go back to this first chapter of Genesis to recognize what a heaven is. That's anything in the sky. So you don't have a graven image. You don't put a likeness of anything that is in the heavens above or that is in the earth beneath. So anything that you see in the earth, you're not supposed to make an image of. A graven image, meaning something that is carved that will have you remember and follow and worship that thing. Or that is in the waters under the earth. Notice what verse 5 says. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them. Now, we're talking about, when you're talking about these gods had what was called a system. It wasn't just talking about a statue or a people or, you know, things that were that they create with their hands. This is talking about the pantheon gods and what they represented within that system. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I am the Lord, for I am the creator, your power. Am a what? Jealous power. See? You don't supposed to bow yourself down to anything that was created by your hands or anything that your hands create. We're talking about the pantheon gods and the system that they represented. Let's go to Isaiah 43 and 10. See, we don't bow down ourselves to none of these people, none of these things. Because, and I'm going to show you that it's way deeper than what you think. It's way deeper when it says don't bow down thyself to them. Because what it means to bow down thyself to them, what does that mean? Because when you're talking about bowing down thyself,
does it mean when you're giving yourself to them completely?
Yes. And we have to understand what it means to give yourself to them completely. You don't have no more room for the Creator. And a lot of us, we think we're actually serving the Creator. We think we are literally serving the Creator. Isaiah 43 and 10, that's what it says. Hold on. All right, this thing right here acting up.
I have it. It says, ye are my witnesses, saith the Creator, and my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me, and understand that I am he. Before me there was no power formed, neither shall there be after me.
Read verse 11.
I, even I am the Creator, and beside me there is no Savior.
Go ahead, read verse 12 too. Read verse 12 and 13.
I have declared and have saved, and I have showed when there was no strange power among you. Therefore, ye are my witnesses, saith the Creator, that I am God. Yea, before the day was I am he, and there is none that can deliver out of my hand. I will work, and who shall let it
So
Can't do
let's
it.
look at just go ahead. What you
Oh,
about to
did I
say?
finish? Oh, no, no. Okay. I will work, and who shall let it? That was it.
So let's look at verse 10 and let's look at it real closely. He said, "You are my witnesses." So the nation of Israel was the creator's witness, just like the nation of Adam was the creator witness. That's why he put the nation of Adam inside of that enclosure. And he says, "And my servant whom I have" what? Chosen. See, the creator didn't put the nation of Adam in that enclosure just to be so, just to be so. It was shown that the nation of Adam was the chosen at that time. That you may know and believe who? Other gods? No, believe the creator. The creator was the one that Adam and Eve, or the nation of Adam, was supposed to have been following, listening to, understanding, come to a realization to a point. They were supposed to have been getting to the Sabbath so that they can enjoy the rest with the creator. And he said, and understand that I am he. See? Because everybody don't understand the creator. Even though you may think you teaching the word, you don't understand the creator. That's why we make a lot of silly mistakes, because we don't understand the creator. That's why he says, and understand that I am he. But if you don't understand the creator, then the point is, what are you understanding? If you're not trying to understand the creator, then tell me, what are you trying to understand? Because notice what he says, that I am he, before me there was no God formed. There was nothing before the creator. Now you got to let that sink like you drinking ice cold water. Let that sink. Before me there was no creator formed. Neither shall there be what? After me. So do you think if Israel was dealing with with idol gods, you don't think the nation of Adam was dealing with idol gods as well? Verse 11 says, even I am the creator. Stop. Semicolon. That's a direct statement. We'll give everything praise before we give it to the creator, which gave you life. And it says, and besides me, there is no savior. But why do we have a savior? Why do we depend on saviors? Why? We depend on somebody to come save us, except the creator himself. And verse 12 says, I have declared and have saved, and I have showed when there was no strange God among you. Stop right there. Let's go back to the garden. When the creator created man, he put the particular man in the enclosure and left every other man on the out of the enclosure. So only that man knew and understood the creator. And he gave that particular man instructions. So that's why the next line, that's why the next sentence says, therefore you are my what? Witnesses, says the Creator, that I am the power. I am powerful. I am he. There was no other creator. All he had to do was follow what was said and given to him. And he says, yea, before the day was I am he. Before day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, who was there? The Creator. And there is none that can what? Deliver out of what? My hands, because you were created by who? Him. So who can save you? I will work, and who shall let it? Who gonna stop him? See, this is what we have to understand. There's nothing greater that you're supposed to be serving. Isaiah 43:10. Let's go there. There's nothing greater that you're supposed to be serving. Isaiah 45:5. There's nothing greater that you should be serving. Some people say, well, I am God. Okay, you're God. You're God. You're a goddess. Okay? God, goddesses. Isaiah 45:5, it says, I am the Creator, and there is none else. There is none else. There is no God besides me. I girded thee. What that word girded means. I girded thee. What gird means? Because he said this is what he did for you. He said this is what he did for you. To encircle with a belt or a band. See? He encircled you. Remember, the garden was girded. He put you inside of an enclosure. An enclosure is a circle. So when you put a belt on, that's the mark of the enclosure. Something that supports something.
It also says
you. Go ahead.
It also says to prepare for action.
To what?
Prepare oneself for action, fast or secure.
Yeah, you secure something. You're preparing for something. You can't prepare for something if something always interrupting you. Especially if you're about to go to war. You have to have a place where you can what? Privately train. That's what the enclosure was about. He said, I girded you. I put you in the enclosure. This is what I did. And no other power put you there but me. Though thou what? Has not what? Known me. You didn't even know the Creator for him to do something like that to you, for you. For the nation of Adam. Or even for the nation of Israel. Yisrael, you didn't even know this. You didn't know the Creator. But he put you inside of an enclosure, and we were supposed to protect that enclosure Let's go to the last scripture, and then we're going to get into the rest of these gods. Let's go to Exodus 23 and 13. This is the one you better pay attention to. Exodus 23 and 13.
Exodus 23 and 13.
Mm-hmm. You got it? You want me to read it? Okay, she had dropped. It says, and in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect. Now, what circumspect mean? What circumspect means? What the word circumspect means? Circumspect. What does that mean?
I'm back. It kicked me off. What was it? Wary and unwilling to take risks. You're wary of something.
Mm-hmm. So it's telling you, it says, and in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect. So he's telling you to be wary?
Well, it says, I could be saying that wrong. Careful to consider all circumstances and possible consequences.
So what is he
So
telling you to do? Go ahead.
be watchful, be cautious.
Be cautious. You're supposed to be aware of something. You're supposed to, like I said at the beginning, you're supposed to have understanding of something before you jump into it. You have to weigh both sides. You have to be looking for the blowback as well as being prosper in it. You can't just be sitting there saying, oh, well, I understand this and that. But then when somebody challenges you, you get mad. That means you don't have no understanding about it.
But couldn't that be just like how they say when you're trying to make a big decision, you're weighing the pros and the cons of that situation or that thing?
Correct. That's what that means. You're weighing the pros and the cons because before you make a move, you're going to have the understanding of that thing. So he says, in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, be cautious, be careful, understand, have knowledge about something. Even though you may find yourself in a bad position, still be cautious. Don't be so eager to move fast. Don't be so eager to say you got it and you don't understand it. Because a lot of times we'll move fast just to try to get something over, not knowing that when you move fast, before you have an understanding of something, this is where a lot of stuff goes wrong with you. And notice what he says, and make no mention of the name of what? Other gods. We're going to talk about that today in a minute. Make no mention of other gods. See, that's why I say after the fall came the world of the serpent. How do you know you're not mentioning another God? How do you know you're not celebrating another God? How do you know that you are not literally following another God? Neither let it be heard out of your mouth. But a lot of us, we are so far gone that we don't even understand. That we are following other gods. Let's get into this first video. Fair use, fair use. What this thing just do? Hold on. Okay, see, that's it. Okay, one should go. All right. Give me a second. I got to put this back in because it eliminated this thing. I don't know why this thing be doing this every time. Give me a minute. Where's that wind coming from? It's wind. I hear some wind.
It's windy outside.
Okay. Testing. All right. Testing 1 2 1 2. Testing. All right. You hear the wind? Do you hear the wind?
Mm,
Huh?
not really.
Okay. Maybe that's on my end. Just give me a second. The Norse. Hold on. Because I don't know why this thing had killed my video. Give me 1 second. I'd like to tell everybody happy Pentecost. This is Pentecost today. The Norse gods and their roles. No, what are you doing? The Norse gods and their roles. What are you doing? The Norse gods and their roles. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Are you going to? No, I'm. Okay, here we go. All right. So it's fair use, fair use. This is not my material. This is only for teaching purposes only. So this is for construction, for and fortification. Let's go. Okay, here we go. Now we're not gonna watch the whole video. Okay, let's go. Testing.
Today we are gonna talk about the Norse gods and their specific role in mythology.
Now I want you to pay attention to the names that he's going to be using. I want you to pay attention. Like I say, don't get hung up on the gods. This is their names, and their names represents the roles that the system uses them in against you. Let's go.
Balder. Balder is the wisest and noblest of the gods of Asgard. He lived in the Breidablik area of heaven where no evil could touch him. His mother, Frigg, tried to protect him from danger by putting all plants, creatures, elements and metals to swear that they would never hurt him. The only thing that could hurt him was the mistletoe that had escaped the oath, being too young to swear. Balder was accidentally killed by his brother, Hod, the blind god, who threw a piece of mistletoe at him. His death marks the beginning of the end of the world.
So you talk about the mistletoe. What the mistletoe is a part of?
Christmas, when they hang it over the door for you to kiss somebody.
You got to catch it. You got to catch it. These are literal gods but they put things in, they put them in a place of things. Let's go.
Bragi. Bragi is the god of poetry. He was admired for his inspiration and oratory. He was wise and had the gift of speech. Bragi was also called the Old Poet, or the one with the long beard. Air.
So you think poetry is something new? No. But poetry, you think when they had that secret meeting with rap and said we're going to change rap from edifying you to now degradizing you, you think that was by accident? And then these rappers say, I thank God for, for me being here. Really? What God are they talking about? Let's go.
Air is the goddess of medicine. She collected herbs that she used to cure diseases and wounds.
And you think Big Pharma is by accident. Let's go.
Air is known as the herald of Mengloth, another deity of healing from Norse mythology. 69.
Okay, we want to skip this. Put that on pause. Let's go. Let me get this commercial on out of the way. Let's ride. No.
Balder and Nanna.
Go back.
He brought herbs that she used to cure diseases and wounds. Air is known as the herald of Mengloth, another deity of healing from Norse mythology. Forseti. Forseti is the god of justice, the son of Balder and Nanna. He brought
justice for who? Medicine for who? Let's go.
Reconciliation between mortals. He was considered kind of balance of justice. The god of arbitration and the balance of justice in the Norse mythology.
See, notice to say he brought justice between mortal man and gods. So stop. What mortal man would deal with a god? See, pay attention to what they're telling you now. Let's go.
Forseti always makes sure that everything is done and in perfect order.
What order? I thought the Creator set everything already in order and gave man the power to rule it. Let's go. See, this is why I tell y'all, you better pay attention, because these things, what they call mythology, is real. Let's go.
Freya. Freya is the god of fertility and weather. He had control over the rain and the sun, so he brought fertility to the land.
Stop. They're not telling you what is harp. Tell me what harp is. Do they not control the weather? Do they not control the weather? Do they not control the weather?
Yeah, they control the weather. Sometimes I wonder, you know how when they say they're trying to track a storm and they put that weather balloon up in the air?
Uh-huh.
I wonder if that has anything to do with how this weather is. Because it's totally different from how it was when we were growing up.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you. They're telling you that they have a system. They have a system that they have going on. So let's go.
He was also named the Lord of the Harvest. Those who invoked him asked for peace and a good harvest. Freya is characterized by prosperity and protector of true love. It is said that Freya won a magic sword of fire, which could fight by its own for her master. He received this sword from a giantess who refused his advances, so she sent him this magic sword instead. Freya. Freya is the most beautiful of the goddesses of Asgard. Also known as Vanna's bride, she is the goddess of fertility, offering prosperity to the community and marriages.
See, she offering prosperity to the community of marriages. Notice it says she's beautiful. She's beautiful. Huh? Beautiful? To who? But it's talking about fertility, marriage. Is it talking about marriage according to the Creator? So you got to balance. You got to pay attention to what they're telling you. Let's go.
Freya is considered the bride of fallen heroes. She is also the leader of souls and witches, and as the name suggests, she is Frey's sister.
Let's go back. Did you catch what it just said? Let's go back. Listen to what it just said.
Freya is considered the bride of fallen heroes.
She's the bride of what? Fallen heroes. And what?
She is also the leader of souls and witches.
She's also the leader of souls and witches. So what is her marriage is about?
Probably entrapment.
Why you say that?
Well, because she said that she's of souls and witches, so and of marriage, so she's trying to probably entrap a certain particular person so she could get their soul.
See, let's go.
And as the name suggests, she is Frey's sister. Frigg. Frigg is the mother goddess in Norse mythology and the central deity in Asgard. She is Odin's wife, thus having the title of Queen of Heaven.
That's your Queen of Heaven right there. That's one of your Queens of Heaven right there that Israel was given offerings to. The Queen of Heaven. Let's go.
Frigg is known as the weeping goddess because she suffered greatly at the loss of her son, Balder.
So she lost the son, so she weeps. Let's go.
This goddess is believed to help women who were in labor. She is also associated with the birth and naming of children.
There you go. The birth and the naming of children. So when you name your child certain things, what is it reflecting? I keep telling y'all, don't get caught up on these gods. Look at their purpose. Let's go.
Fulla. The goddess Fulla is the right hand and the herald of Frigga. Due to her long hair and crown, she was considered a goddess of fertility. Gefhon. Women who die unmarried become the servants of the goddess Gefhon. She is a goddess of the sea and fertility. It is said that she turned her 4 sons into oxen and harnessed them to a huge plow, and with it they plowed the whole area called Zealand. Nah.
Notice these gods, these women gods are the gods of fertility. You ever notice that? And the last one was, if you wasn't married, you end up becoming a servant to her. Let's go.
This goddess was considered the messenger of the gods in Norse mythology. She had the role of messenger, especially of the goddess Frigg. She crossed huge distances to convey Frigg's messages.
So you got a god of a messenger. They bring messages from afar off to you to make sure you understand what's being said to you, or what they're trying to convey to you. The serpent came to Eve. Let's go.
Heimdall. Heimdall is known as the guardian of the deities. He was called God of Beauty and his teeth were all gold, so his middle name, Gullantani, meant
So his teeth is gold, all gold. So when you see somebody with all gold teeth, who are they serving? Who are they serving? Let's go.
the one with the golden teeth. His duty was to protect Asgard from the giants. It was said that he never slept. Lin. Lin is the goddess of consolation, helps those in mourning, listens.
Consolation. You got those people who deals with the tarot cards, who deals with the lining up of the sun and the stars and all that. Tarot card, let's go.
To the prayers of the dead, and passes them to the goddess Frigg.
They go, you got the people talking about rest in peace. They praying for the dead. They are literally going to her. Let's go.
Advising her how to answer them and gain their trust. Lin is also a protector.
All right, let's pause this real quick. Commercial. All right, let's go.
She is said. Honir was among the most timid gods. He was described as a tall, handsome young man and somewhat distant. His silence, which could be harmful to him, could also be a sign of strength and wisdom. Honir was the one who shared the intelligence at the beginning of time.
So he was the one that was doing the investigation on you. Okay? He the one that lets them know the weaknesses of you. Think about that. You talk about intelligence. People come and spy you out. Spies. Let's go.
Aduna. This goddess was the guardian of the golden apples of eternal youthfulness. The gods ate these fruits to preserve their youth forever.
There go the fountain of youth right there, where they do sacrificing. The fountain of youth. See, they drink the blood of a baby. Look at you got to pay attention to what these folks are showing you. And they're literally carrying it out through their days. Let's go.
Lufan. Lufan was the goddess who offered indulgence and permission. She was often invoked to give couples permission to get married.
So we talk about marriage, letting two people get married. Go ahead.
The goddess of marriage and family, Lufan is the protector of impossible loves and romance.
So she's about love and romance. Impossible love and romance. Things that crosses the line. That's impossible. Things that didn't supposed to be. That's impossible. That's the impossible. That's the God. She's the goddess of. Go.
Lufan is one of Ragnarok's survivors. Ragnarok was the apocalypse in Norse mythology, the war between the gods, where most of them lost their lives. The purpose of her survival is to protect love even after the end of the world.
See, she's there to protect love. What love is she protecting? See? What love is she protecting? Let's go.
Loki. Loki is one of the most famous gods in Norse mythology.
This is the last one we're going to watch. You can watch the rest of the video on your own. We're going to move to the next video. Let's go.
Symbol and god of deception and betrayal, Loki is the god who kills many of his brothers to rule Asgard.
See, so he killed his brothers. Go ahead. Let's go.
In legends, he always makes a fuss to get everyone's attention. He has the ability of a shapeshifter.
Oh, he's a shapeshifter. He's a shapeshifter. Let's go. Meaning, you know what a shapeshifter is? They show you one thing right now, then they're shaping into, they become something else later on. Shapeshifter. Let's go.
He can change into all sorts of creatures and even change its sex, even carrying babies in his womb.
Transgenders, homosexuals. They're trying to get a man to carry a baby. This what they're showing you, that they're serving these serpent gods. Let's go.
Odin.
We're going to stop right here at Odin. We're going to move no further. Any questions about what you heard? This is what we have to pay attention to. They're literally putting the system right there in your face. But they're doing it through other things, like the Baphomet. Male, female, different signs and symbols. They're showing you this. But how many of us actually pay attention to it? How many of us pay attention to that? See, these names of these gods and the purpose of them is literally the system of the serpent. This is what Cain was going up amongst. Let's grab the next one, and then we're going to get further into these gods. Let's go. What's the next one? Make sure you press that like and subscribe button if you haven't yet subscribed, or you press the like up and down. Yeah, you do something. Just let us know you're here, and let us. And if you got any questions, you can put it in the chat, and you can come on up to the platform. All right, let's go to the next one. We're talking about the Pan God. Oh, this thing erased me again. Let me do it again. Here we go. Here we go. I see it. Yep, I got it right here. All right, fair use, fair use. This is the next video. All right, it's for teaching purposes and educational purposes only. This is not my material. Fair use, fair use. Parts of it, and then you can watch the rest of the video on your own. Fair use, fair use. Let's go. Now remember you got Pan-African, you got Panism, you got all these other, Pangea, you got all these pans. But this is coming from a god. This is coming from a particular system. Let's go. Here we go. Let's go. Skip on past that. Let's go.
For many thousands of years, humankind led lives deep with symbolic meaning. The gods
Did you hear that? You have symbolic meaning of the things that surround you. Let's go.
were everywhere and in everything. They are the aspects of being greater than us. They're buried deep within our subconscious, and most existed long before humans did.
I just try to tell y'all that a lot of these things, the system was there before man. There was a fallen nation that was before Genesis 1:26. Let's go.
They're inherent parts of the essence of our primordial ancestors, beings now long extinct. For example, take Aphrodite. She came forth when those first creatures reproduced sexually.
See, they reproduce sexually. When you're talking about sex, what type of sex are you talking about? See, I went over that once before. That's how Cain was produced wrong. I went over that in my pretext. Adam went into Eve wrong sexually. And that's how you end up with Cain. So what kind of sex is he talking about? Let's ride.
Aries came about when that reptilian ancestor of ours killed another of its kind out of anger.
See? That's how they end up transforming themselves, by how their energy and action became. It moved them away from the presence of the Creator, and they end up transforming into something different. Okay, let's go.
And Pan, when that first early being experienced irrational fear.
Notice he got a ram head.
That's right, my neo-pagan friends. Pan is a scary god. Even if one were to recognize the character inversion employed by changing Pan, the good guy, into Satan, the bad guy, why reject an old friend just because he bears a new name and unjustified stigma?
See, so in other words, they changed the name. It wasn't Pan at the beginning. It was something else, and then they changed it. And so now they're trying to make it like it's something great. That's what he's telling you. That's right.
That quote by Anton LaVey was an influence on the origins of the sect of the Horn God.
See, so they're telling you when you was coming up that when you see the devil, he had horns in his head with a pitchfork. That was Pan. They was giving you the god Pan, but you didn't know it. I didn't know it. They even show you that on some cartoons. He got a tail, red, with horns on his head with a pitchfork, and you call that the devil. That is the god Pan. Let's go.
I love it because it bridges the gap between the pagan and satanic worlds.
See, he said bridges the gap between Satan and the pagan world. See, that's why I keep telling y'all these gods has purpose. That is the system that Cain went among. That's the system that Cain went among. Let's rewind it. Let's hear that again.
That quote by Anton LaVey was an influence on the origins of the sect of the Horn God. I love it because it bridges the gap between the pagan and satanic worlds. A few years
That means it has nothing to do with the Creator. Let's go.
back, while living on a winery, I, along with my wife, put on events. One of them was a pagan festival, and I couldn't help but notice that among the New Age types, Pan was a popular god, considered
He was popular. Let's roll.
one of the major incarnations of the horn god archetype. Now, most of you pagans see him as a happy-go-lucky, sometimes mischievous harvest god who frolics with nymphs. But the truth is, there's a good reason that the early Christians of Europe made him synonymous with Satan.
So now you know where it come from. This god came from out of Europe, Eurasia. Let's roll.
It's said that Pan had a dark, angry side and a shout that instilled fear and dread. Where do you think the word panic comes from?
Panic. Pan. Panic. Pan. Let's go.
Pan, like all pagan gods, has a dark side, a
So you talk about Pan-African. You talking about that god right here. Let's go.
side that has more in common with some rapists like Harvey Weinstein than, let's say, Mr. Rogers.
Ooh, Mr. Rogers. He dealt with children. Ooh. Let's go. See, they don't want you to know that he was that Pan, he just go out and just rape women. No, he do it secretly with children. Listen to him. Let's go. Got a few more minutes with it. Then we're gonna move on.
After the foundation of the Roman Catholic Church in the early 4th century, Christian theologians began the process of transforming Pan into Satan.
There you go. Transformation. They went from Pan to Satan. That's why I told y'all, when I was coming up, they had the devil with the horns, the red with a tail with a pitchfork. That was Pan. That was the Pan God. And they still put that Pan in your face. Let's go.
And this demonization was no accident. It was deliberate. Pan was more than a nature god. He was a lusty, phallic deity who represented carnal desires.
Oh, there it go. He represented carnal desires. You want to see the carnalism? Look at the pictures. Let me slow the pictures down.
Pan was
Look. Look at the pictures. Let's go.
more than a nature god. He was a lusty.
He was about women having more than one woman. Orgies. Huh? See, look at the system that Cain is about to go among. Let's go.
The
Look at the
phallic
pictures.
deity who represented carnal.
Look at the pictures. Look at the
A nature
pictures.
god. He was a lusty, phallic deity
Look at the pictures. See?
who represented carnal desire.
He's about sex. That's what he's about. He's about sex. He wanted sex. So do you think this music today in rap and R&B and etc. that they only talk about sex and now they're putting it all in the movies? Do y'all think this is by accident? This is about the God Pan. Let's go.
Desires. And as a favorite god of the ancient Greeks, he wasn't worshipped in temples, but instead in caves or grottos.
He was worshiping caves, grottos. Pay attention. Not temples. But they eventually brought him into temples.
It's said that there were more dedications to him than any other Greek god.
Why? It's because they was having orgies and they was having sex all over the place. That's why. That's why you could not find children with no fathers in scripture. Because the creator went against that because it was celebrating if they were Pan. Let's go. We got a few more minutes. Let's go.
To be blunt, the Greeks liked to fuck.
He said what? They like to have sex. See the statue? See the statue? This is part of the system. It's to go out there, females. It's to show everything. No, you don't supposed to have nothing private. Just show everything about yourself. This comes from that fallen serpent system. Let's go.
And fucking didn't have the stigma it has in our modern Christian influenced Western world.
See, because why? They want you to go in the women, men, wrong. To produce something for the beast. Having a legacy don't matter no more. It's all about having sex to feel good and to produce unwanted babies. And to get the woman's emotions all mixed up, haywired up, whereas that you can control her and have sex whenever you get ready, but you're not committed to her. This is a system, family. Women wearing clothes that shows their secret parts, the outline of it. This is part of the serpent system. That's why.
The great god Pan, according to most sources, was the son of Hermes and a daughter of one of Apollo's sons. Some, though, claim that his father was Zeus and his mother was either a nymph or a goat.
See? It wasn't nothing natural, what they telling you. He wasn't produced natural and he wasn't produced right. So how do he now act when his energy comes out? Let's go.
That's right, Zeus, king of the gods, possibly fornicated with a goat. But I digress. When Pan's mother saw him for the first time with the horns, ears, tail, legs of a goat, she freaked and ran off. Hermes, however, could not have been happier. He was so proud of the little bastard, he took him to Olympus and showed him off to the other immortals.
Because why? We're going to stop it right there. Why was he happy? Because he's showing you that my son ain't normal. That's what we do to our children. That's what we do to our children. We show our children off to what this thing just do?
Oh, I was gonna say something.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say is that he was so proud of what he created because it wasn't nothing normal and it wasn't anything that the creator would have been pleased with. It was the opposite. So that kind of made him thrilled about what he created.
That's right. That's right. What this thing just do? Peace, family. Peace, your high thing. How you doing? Shalom, happy Shabbat. Okay, here we go. Let me get this thing out of the way. All right, here we go. Peace, family. Your high thing. Shalom, happy Shabbat, family. Happy Shabbat. So now, I just wanted to kind of throw that in there to show you some of the videos, a couple of videos that shows you the system of what was there that Cain was getting ready to go up among. Okay. Now, I'm going to pick back up on number 10 of these gods. It's called the Norse. We went over the Norse gods, the serpent god, the migrant, the Midgard serpent. Okay, I just showed you the video on that one. So we're gonna jump down to number 11. Number 11 is I can't pronounce that. Is Ningishzida and Mushu, Mushussu. That's the snake god of Mesopotamia. Okay. This is the Sumerian gods. But see, you got to remember now, all these are serpent gods. These gods represent an animal, such as a snake or a ram or a lizard. This is the same system. So it says possibly this word means Lord of the good tree. See? Lord of the good tree was a Mesopotamian deity of vegetation, the underworld, and sometimes war. He was commonly associated with what? Snakes. Ancient Mesopotamians and Semites believed that snakes were immortal because they could infinitely shed their skin and appear forever, youthful. See, so if you go back into the curse of Adam, the Creator told Adam that you will eat bread. That means the bread of war. And he will also go after things that are shiny and glittering. That's a system. Why do you think we love things that looks like it's good? And we'll run to it, and then when we go on the other side of it, we realize, man, that job was messed up. Because it was glittering. It was glittering. It looked like it had something popping in it. And that's why the system of the serpent attracts us more than what we actually imagine what the system of the serpent is. See, so when the snake, that's why the snake was so popular, because it sheds its dull skin, D-U-L-L, from and gets that fresh, new looking, youthful skin. The Sumerians worship a serpent god named Nin, Nig, Ish, Zita. Nigashita. So that's why I keep telling you, every nation had a serpent god. And that's why the serpent that came into the garden was very significant. Let's go to number 12. Number 12 was another Mesopotamian god, was called Mu-Hu-Shu. M-U-S-H-U-S-S-U. That was a Mesopotamian guardian snake god. See? Because the other god that we just named, it was dealing with what? The underworld, sometimes war, and it was a deity of vegetation. So they had gods that they gave crops to and offered crops to as well. And they served this god for war. You dealing with Memorial Day this weekend. See? You're dealing with Memorial Day. Nin, Nig, is Zita, like his father, is associated with dragons. The Mushushu and Balm, B-A-L-M. He is also referred to as a snake. Mushma, a ball or ball to his son. Nig is Zeta. And as such, he is associated with Hydra constellation in the astrological compendium Mo'opin. So this guy right here is dealing with who? Constellation. That's why I always tell y'all got to pay attention to these gods, the name of these gods and the purpose of these gods. Neo-Babylonian period, reign of Nebuchadnezzar II, that's 604 to 562 BC, called Mush or Mush, Ush, Shu, or furious snake. This fearsome dragon combines the head and scales of a horned viper, a forepaws of a lion, the talons of a bird of prey, and the tail ending in a scorpion stinger. This is how this guy look. This is how they designed this guy to look. See, they did not just have these serpents. I mean, these different serpents, dragons and different types of birds or whatever. They were worshiping those birds for those purposes. Not because a bird looked good. It's because it represented a specific thing within that serpent system. Quetzalcoatl, the Aztec feather serpent god. The feather serpent is a prominent supernatural entity or deity found in many Mesoamerican religions. It is still called Quetzalcoatl. Among the Aztecs, Kukulkan, among the Yucatec Mayan and the god of learning, of writing, and of books. See, listen to what's going on. This god is about learning, writing, and of books. Quetzalcoatl was particularly venerated in what? Calmecac. Religion colonies annexed to the temples in which the future priests and the sons of the nobility were educated, meaning they went to a specific place to be educated with these particular books, these particular what? Writings, and they had to learn in particular things. To the Aztecs, Quetzalcoatl was, as his name indicates, a feather serpent, a flying reptile, much like a dragon. Why is it that all these nations have a dragon deity? Some people say the dragon was supposed to be God, and the God was actually the devil. Because the dragon, the serpent, was trying to help Eve. But that's how you know who people serving. Who was a boundary maker and transgressor between earth and sky. He was a creator deity, having contributed essentially to the creation of mankind. Well, what did he contribute? We're gonna get into that in a minute. What did he contribute? See, notice it says who was a boundary maker and transgressor between the earth and sky. Ooh, that ain't good. That ain't good, family. The feather snake is also still worshipped by what? Huichol and Cora Indians. They still worship Quetzalcoatl. The cult of Quetzalcoatl has been more or less idealized, and the image of a white god, means Caucasian, has become part of the popular culture. See, first he was what? Negroid, now he's white. The Aztecs, Quetzalcoatl was, and his name indicates, a feather serpent, a flying reptile, much like a dragon, who's a boundary maker, blah, blah, blah. We already read that. See? We're going to get into Quetzalcoatl in a second. But let's go to number 15. The 5 Nagas, or Nagas. That's Nagas, Nagas. Sound like niggas. That's the Hindu serpent deities. The 5 Nagus, or Nagas, Nagas, the Hindu serpent deities. See, the Mahabharata, the Mahabharata epic is the first. That's Mahabharata. Epic is the first text that introduced Nagas, describe them in detail, and narrates their stories. The cosmic snake Shisha, the Naga kings, Vasuki, Tashaka, Aravata, and Kakotaka, and the prince Ulupi are all depicted in the Mahabharata. Okay? They are depicted in the Mahabharata. You can look that up. That's Mahabharata. I hope you're writing this down, because I can't type in my the chat, because this computer is acting up. I got to get it somehow fixed. Now we're going to jump to 15 to 16. Now, number 16, I don't have anything on this person. You can look this up yourself. That's Adishesha. That's another snake deity, serpent deity, or dragon deity. That's Adis. That's Adishia. That's Adishesha. Adishia. Then number 17 is Ashika. That's Astika. 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 You can look that person up. These are serpent deities. Number 18 is Vasuki. That's Vasuki. These are the names of the 5 Nagas. That's Vasuki. Excuse me. Salakia. That's Vasuki. That's 18. Number 19 is Kaila. That's Kaliya. Kaila. That's Kaliya. All right. And number 20, that was number 19. Now we're on 20. It's Manasa. Manasa, that's Manasa. That's Manasa. Manasa is a goddess of snakes, worshipped mainly in Bengal and other parts of northeastern India, chiefly for the prevention and cure of what? Snake bites, and also for fertility and generally prosperity. Now, notice this was talking about for snake bites. Okay, so this is what his purpose was. All right, now we're going to get in number 21. It's Cora. Corra. This is a Celtic snake god. So the word Celtic is not by accident like the Boston Celtics. You got to pay attention to these words that these people are giving you and the people that they say that they serve and worship this particular system of the serpent. The snake god is the devotion of a serpent deity. The tradition is presented in several ancient cultures, particularly in a religion of mythology. See, they always tell you these things is not real. But for somehow they keep throwing these deities back in your face on statues and movies. They put these things in books, and they also bring it out in religion. But this stuff is a mythology. So what they're trying to get you into a mythical thinking. So it says, particularly in religion and mythology, where snakes were seen as the holder of what? Knowledge, strength, and renewal. So we're always talking about knowledge, strength, and renewal, because we're going to get into that when we're talking about the fallen. Let's keep going. In Africa, one center of serpents worship was the kingdom of Dahomey in present-day Benin. But the cult of the python seems to have been an exotic origin introduced in 1725 from the kingdom of Wida around the time of its conquest by Dahomey. So one nation conquered another nation and brought in this serpent deity. Did you see what happened in the garden now? Do you understand why the serpent was in the garden now and why the serpent wanted Eve to eat from off the tree? See, it was about conquering the enclosure. The enclosure represents a protective barrier. This was the cult of the serpent deity called the Dagby or Dagby, who was the benefactor god of wisdom and bliss associated with tree and the ocean. See? So we have to pay attention to why all around this plains, what we call the earth, there are dragons, serpent gods, reptilians, statue likes. Let's go back to ancient Mesopotamians. Ancient Mesopotamians and the Semites believe that, snakes were immortal because they could infinitely shed their skin and appear forever youthful, appearing as a fresh guise every time. The Sumerian worship a serpent god named, well, we already went through this, okay? Now, in the Americas, well, hold on. Let me go back because this is something else. I added some more information onto it. It says the Sumerian worship the god named Nigishzad. That's Ningishzida. Nine-Gishzida. Before the arrival of the Israelites, snake cults were well established in Canaan in the Bronze Age. So that's the reason why the Creator told Israel, when you get inside of the land of Canaan, to destroy the Asherah poles, their temples, and etc. Why? It's because they was worshiping the serpent. That was one of the main reasons they was worshiping the serpent. That system had to come down. Okay? For archaeologists have uncovered serpent cult objects in Bronze Age strata at several pre-Israelite cities in Canaan. 2 at Mendigo, 1 at Gezer, in the what? Sectorium of the area of the H Temple of Hazar, and 2 of Shechem. So in other words, they're saying over there in that Israel, that fake Israel over there, they found a lot of this snake stuff. This stuff was all over the place. It wasn't just in this place, that place. That's why I'm calling these places out. In the Americas, the Maya deity Kukulkan and the Aztecs Quetzalcoatl both means feather serpent, figure prominently in their respective cults of origin. Kukulkan is associated with vision serpent iconography. In Mayan art, Kukulkan was an official state deity of Izta, Itza, in the northern Yucatan. See? So we got to pay attention to what system Cain was going among. He was going among the serpent system. The worship of Quetzalcoatl dates back to as early as the 1st century BC at Teotihuacan. In the post-classic period of 900 to 1519, the cult was centered at Colula. Quetzalcoatl was associated with wind, the dawn, the planet, Venus, and the morning star, and was tutelary patron of arts, craft, merchants, and the priesthood. Okay, so now let's get into a small video about Quetzalcoatl. Let's go. Let me share my screen. Fair use, fair use. This is for teaching purposes only. This is not my material. We're only bringing this information out to help further our information as what we are learning. So fair use, fair use. Of the 19. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Mesoamerican mythology is among the patrons of this next video will be on the top.
All right, come on, internet.
Quetzalcoatl. Now, before I delve into this video, I've seen others discussing this, and when researching Mesoamerican myth and Quetzalcoatl in particular, it raised a point that I do feel fairly passionate about, because it's something I wish more people considered when approaching mythology. Quite often people try to compare modern storytelling to myths and stories that are thousands of years old. I get countless comments from people telling me they've heard several versions of a myth, and they want to know which one is correct.
So you got to pay attention to it now. He's saying that these things are 1,000 years old. A lot of stuff is not 1,000 years old, but we're going to keep going. We're going to get into that later on. Let's go.
To tell them which one is canon. Even to this day, I still get Percy Jackson fans telling me that Perseus is the son of Poseidon, and I know this isn't even the case in Percy Jackson.
But they do a lot of this stuff to confuse you. That's why you have to know how to pick through the information to be able to bring the right information out. Let's go.
Definitely is among the problem. People that read the works of Rick Riordan and watch these movies based on mythology and assume they must be canon. Rather than doing their own research and attempting to learn something, they just assume that everything else is wrong.
See, so that's why he's telling you, when it telling you in the New Testament, it says to study to show thyself approved, because this is the age of information. There's a lot of and tons of information that's going to be coming out, but you got to know how to pick through the information to be able to pull the right information. All right, let's go.
It's important for us to consider the way stories were told thousands of years ago differ greatly to how stories are told today. To give you an example, if you were to pick up a copy of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, it doesn't matter when you read it. You could have read it on the day it was published, or you could read it 10 years later. The contents of that story will remain largely the same, and that's because it was written by one author, and the same copies were printed on a mass scale. I can't then just pick up a copy and start telling people a version where Harry turns into a six-headed dragon, steals Voldemort's nose, and starts pooping out house elves. Well, I can, but there's a good chance that you'll know I'm incorrect, and most likely crazy. Mythology stems from stories that were told thousands of years ago. These stories were not told by one author, and they were not printed and posted online to the masses. As these stories traveled through towns and cities, people would often embellish certain elements.
So in other words, what he's saying is, remember the old event that happened when we was young in school, in elementary. They'll start off telling the story to one person, and by the time it got to the end, to the end of the line, it changes. That's what he's pretty much talking about. But somehow inside of, from the beginning of that line to the end, there is truth that reached the end. But now you got to decipher, where did the information go wrong at? Because some of the information that is being told in all these books are correct. But somehow by the time it got to the end, to the author, some of the information changed. So now you got to know what is correct and what is not correct. That means you got to go back and study. Let's go.
Would twist certain narratives, and they would create a version that related to them and the people around them. Storytelling now has become very static. It doesn't really change. Ancient storytelling, however, was the exact opposite, changing constantly throughout time. So if you read 2 or 3 similar versions of a particular myth, then the chances are that they're all correct in their own way. Now, of course, you do still need to apply some kind of common sense when reading mythology. If I made a video tomorrow telling you that Zeus was actually the god of flamingos and pink Ferraris, I'd like to think most of you would know that I was wrong. Though I'm sure I'd still get comments along the lines of, "Oh yes, Zeus, the god of flamingos and pink Ferraris. Well, you see, I already knew all of this because I read Rick Riordan. As an avid Percy Jackson fan, my knowledge is extensive and I know everything. Unlike the rest of you plebeians, I know that Perseus was the true son of Poseidon."
You know why he's laughing? Because he know that you don't study. He know you don't study. You just believe what somebody done wrote and done told you. You ain't doing the authentic studying to be able to decipher what is real and what ain't real. Let's go.
What is this video? I don't even know what this video is anymore. On a serious note, for those Percy Jackson fans who've got their knickers in a twist, it's just a joke. It's perfectly fine to enjoy Percy Jackson. Anyway, I think that's enough getting sidetracked for one video, so let's try and get this video back on track. The most important thing when reading any kind of mythology is to keep an open mind, understanding that these stories did change over time. So I'm sure some of you may be wondering, how does this relate to Quetzalcoatl? I came here for Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl. Well, Quetzalcoatl is a perfect example of what I've been discussing. Storytelling that changes depending on the region, period of time, and the needs of the people. I've never really come across a deity that's been depicted in so many different ways, ranging from the god of the wind to the god of literally everything. With Mesoamerican mythology spanning across so many regions, I've seen numerous ways of pronouncing the name, including Quetzalcoatl, Quetzalcoatl, and Cuculclan, if we're going with the Mayan interpretation. The name itself derived from 2 Nahuatl terms, Quetzal being the name of the bird that its tail feather resembled, and Coatl meaning snake or serpent. For those of you wondering...
So you're talking about a bird and a serpent. Let's go.
Nahuatl was a language spoken by the Aztecs, and to them Quetzalcoatl translated to mean feathered serpent. The worship of Quetzalcoatl took place in several locations over a large period of time, broken up into much smaller segments. The earliest of these periods was believed to have been in 400 BC to 600 AD in the city of Teotihuacan, where there was an enormous pyramid built in honor of the feathered serpent. The serpent would later be identified as the Aztec god Quetzalcoatl. This worship in the region of Teotihuacan would then continue from 600 to 900 AD. From 900 AD to 1519 AD, the worship spread to the region of Cholula.
So notice it's saying that this stuff is spreading. The serpent is spreading. So now if the serpent is spreading across the earth, what makes you think it didn't spread in the garden? I just want you to put that in your mind. What makes you think that that thing did not spread inside of the garden? Let's go.
During this period that the deity began to be widely referred to as Quetzalcoatl by his Aztec followers, and Cuculclan to those in the Mayan areas. It is worth noting that the very first representations of feather serpents that we have were carvings of deep snakes being flanked by Quetzal birds, and these came from the Olmec civilization that existed from 1200 BC to 400 BC. This meant that they died out at a similar time to when Quetzalcoatl began being worshipped in Teotihuacan. During the early periods, Quetzalcoatl was seen as a deity associated with wind, rain, and vegetation, even at times being seen as the creator of the world and mankind. In later periods during his worship in Cholula around 1200 AD, he was seen as the patron god of priests and merchants. Quetzalcoatl went from a god associated with nature, fertility, and creation to one that was associated with almost everything. Depending on
So now they, as others get hold to this particular idea of a system, they're making this particular god over everything in a system. I just want y'all to pay attention to this. Let's go.
the region you found yourself in, he was seen in drastically different ways, from the god of the wind to the creator of all, and even monsters. Quetzalcoatl was also seen as a very important god in regards to agriculture, as he was believed to have been the founder of corn, a crop that the Mesoamerican people would be extremely thankful.
So you see what they're doing? They're giving now this particular serpent deity the power and the attributes and the idea of corn creation. Let's go.
When Quetzalcoatl and the other gods created a new race of people, they came to the realization that there was no food for these people to eat. Not wanting mankind to perish, the gods scattered across the lands in search for food. Quetzalcoatl came across a red ant that was carrying a grain of maize. He instantly knew that corn would be the food of the Aztec people. The ant did eventually tell Quetzalcoatl that the grain came from inside the mountain of sustenance. When he eventually reached the mountain, he saw that he could only pass through a small hole. Watching the red ant enter, Quetzalcoatl transformed himself into a small black ant and made his way into the mountain. Once inside, Quetzalcoatl saw that there were stacks of grain as high as the ceiling of the cavern. He took several of these grains back to his fellow gods and explained that this would be how they would feed their people. This story does somewhat explain why maize and the whole harvesting process became so sacred to the Aztec people. Quetzalcoatl would then go on to be associated with science and all forms of learning, from the creation of books to calendars, to even being identified with the planet Venus. The appearance of Quetzalcoatl...
They go to planet Venus. Let's go back. Let's rewind that. Let's rewind it again. See, you got to pay attention to why all these things, Venus and Mars and all that stuff, comes into the play dealing with you in your life. It's dealing with these serpent gods. Let's go.
Process became so sacred to the Aztec people. Quetzalcoatl will then go on to be associated with science and all forms of learning.
See, science in all forms of learning. See, when they come up with these different experiments and all, they're not just doing that just for that. They're doing it because they're following the system of this serpent god. Let's go.
From the creation of books to calendars, to even being identified
to books and calendars. So do you think it's by accident that they come up with another calendar other than the calendar that the creator have already given man? Let's go.
Of the planet Venus. The appearance of Quetzalcoatl has led many to believe that he may have been a very early piece of Mesoamerican duality. His wings and the ability to fly meant that he would have been seen in a divine manner, but his serpent body was very symbolic of the earth, and this does create a deity that people can easily relate to. And that is exactly what they did. Quetzalcoatl was seen as a creator, but also a hero and protector loved by many. He was often depicted as a serpent with plumed feathers the color of the rainbow, but he did however also have a human form. He would appear as a bearded man, wearing jade jewelry, with two tubes that he would blow into, creating the wind. There is even a species of dinosaur named after Quetzalcoatl.
See, they say that he was also looked at like a man. So in other words, he was a shapeshifter. He could take the form of whatever. Let's go.
Quetzalcoatlus, who were the largest flying animals of all time. It seems like over the years, Quetzalcoatl was a great source of pride and inspiration for the people of Mesoamerica and modern-day central Mexico. With so many variations and interpretations of Quetzalcoatl, I encourage you to share any that you may have come across with me in the comments below. As always, I've been your host, Mythology and Fiction Explained.
So we have to pay attention to what they literally was putting in the presence of us. But we don't believe a lot of this stuff. We don't. Let's go to Cambodia. Let's go to the next area, Cambodia. Cambodia was a serpent or Nagas, played a particularly important role in Cambodian mythology. A well-known story explained that emerges of the what? The Khmer people. That's Khmer, the Khmer people, from the union of Indian and indigenous elements. The later being represented the Nagas. According to the story, an Indian Brahmana named that's Brahmana. That's Brahmana. Name, I can't pronounce this right here. It's spelled Kaundinya. Kardinya came to Cambodia, which at the time was under the dominion of the Naga king. Okay, the Naga princess Sama, that's Soma, sailed forth to fight against the invader, but was defeated. Presented with the option of marrying the victorious Kaundinya, Kardinya, Soma readily agreed to do so, and together they ruled the land. The Khmer people are their descendants, meaning that they are a mixed nation in Cambodia. Okay, but they serve the serpent god. You can pull up pictures to see that they have carvings of and statues of serpent snakes and dragons. In ancient Rome, in Italy, the Maurician goddess, Angitia, 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 whose name derives from the word for serpent, was associated with witches, snake, and snake charmers. Angitia is believed to have also been a goddess of healing. Her worship was centered at the central Apennine religion. On the Iberian Peninsula, there is evidence that before the introduction of Christianity, and perhaps more strongly before Roman invasion, serpent worship was a standout feature of local religions. To this day, there are numerous traces in European particular belief, especially in Germany, of respect for the snake, possibly the survival of ancestor worship. The house snake cares for the cows and the children, and it appears is an omen of death. And the lives of a pair of a house, snakes are often held to be bound with that of the master and the mistress. So you can see that the serpent was a universal thing in all cultures. But the question within the Bible shows that the serpent conversed with Eve and was getting her to focus on something outside of herself. If the serpent system was so great or good, why did it go against everything male and female was given? That's a question. That's a question. Then we're going to pick up in Genesis 4:17. That is a question. If the serpent system was that so much of a good, why did it go against everything that went against what male and female was given? That's a question. And then we're going to pick up Genesis 4:17. Because Cain is now moving, he's now being thrust out of the garden. Okay? Why did it go against the male and the female? Why did it go against everything the male and female was given? If it was good and great for the garden and for man that was inside of the enclosure, that lets you know that it was messed up. That lets you know. Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, the whole purpose was to destroy the family image of the male and the female. Because if you fast forward to how things are now, you know, you have people that's accepting that 2 females should raise a child and 2 males should raise a child. And it's okay to not identify with how they were born, but as non-binary. You know, everything's just mixed up. So if you take away that the actual existence of a male and a female household the way it's traditionally supposed to be, then you have things the way they are now. It's chaotic and it's confusion and it's just everything's off balance.
That is correct. And now you have to ask yourself so that's what Cain was going up among. That's what Adam was fighting to stay from in the midst of. But his rebellious son, out in the midst of that and cut him off. Why do you think he cast him out and told him, you can't come back with us no more? Why? Because once you go amongst that, how do you come back? Once you go up in the midst of that system, how do you come out from it?
If you ever do, it'll be a fight to the finish. Because it's just like those who may try their first drink or they may try that particular kind of drug. You know, we've heard the stories how people have gone through rehab and how it's taken so many people so long to fight those demons and to be able to become unhooked on those substances and different things of that nature. So it'll be a fight. It would definitely be a fight.
That's right. And notice the fight is not just the fight for your survival. The fight is to keep your bloodline and your legacy alive. So is that some way, somehow, your bloodline can reach back to the 5th dimension, the way it fell from. This about you still trying to get to the Sabbath. And we think that this thing is a joke. This is not a joke. So let's pick back up. Let's pick back up Genesis, the 4th chapter. And we're going to jump down. We're going to start back at verse 17 because we already went through 16 through verse 1 through 16. We already broke that down. Okay? Just before we started getting into those gods in that system of the serpent. So we're going to pick back up in Genesis 4 and 17. We're going to break these down now. Okay? Any questions before I move forward? Any questions? Okay. All right, let's move forward. Verse 17. And it says, and Cain made love to his wife. and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Cain was then building a city, and he named it after his son Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad, and Irad was the father of Mehujal, and Mehujal was the father of Meth-Shael, and Meth-Shael was the father of Lamech. Okay? Now, pay attention to the names. Okay? Because I know a lot of us, we just run past those names. You know? And remember and keep in mind, Cain is now being put out, cast out. He no longer have connections with his family, with his nation. He's being literally cast away into the system of these gods that have destroyed everything around the garden. The garden was the last stronghold that was on this earth. And then the garden was destroyed. And now you have the serpent system spreading all across the plains. So now let's pick up verse 17, and it says, and Cain. The word and means to make oneself known, to be revealed. Cain is the eldest son of Adam and Eve. So making himself known, the oldest son of Adam and Eve, knew means to learn, to recognize. He's learning to recognize or to be acquainted with, meaning having a personal knowledge of something. Haven't seen or experienced something. So now he's experiencing his wife, his Isha. How's he experiencing her? Through sex. Where's he experiencing her at? Outside of the enclosure. So now, how is he having sex with his wife? Is he following the origin of producing and multiplying to be able to serve the Creator, or is he doing it to be out of balance with the Creator? Because he's having sex with his wife in the land of Nod. And the Bible says, and she conceived, meaning she became pregnant. And bared means to bring forth. She became pregnant, and now she's bringing forth who? Enoch, or Hanuk. That's Hanoch. That's his real name, Hanuk, or Hanuk. Chanok. Hanuk. It's not Enoch. It's Hanuk. Salakia. Chanok. That's Hanuk or Hanuk. The HA is the ha sound. Like I'm saying car, or can, is Hanuk. And that word Hanuk means to be dedicated or consecrated. Okay? He's dedicating and he's consecrating his son. to what? That's the question we got to ask ourselves. What is he dedicating and consecrating his son for? Who's doing that? He is? This is you're looking at the mind of Cain. He's dedicating and consecrating his son, the eldest son of Cain. Why is he doing that? Why is he dedicating or consecrating his son for what? Let's keep reading. And the word means to consider as easy or to make light of. So he's making light of what? Or he considered it to be easy. He build. That word he build means to cause to continue, meaning to keep going or add to. So hold on, it was made easy. He consecrated or he dedicated and he considered it to be light. What did he consider to be light? The cause to keep going. To cause to continue or to keep going, to add on or to add to. What is he adding to? He's adding to himself. He dedicated his son to himself. He's adding on to him for what? Remember I told you everything has a legacy. To cause to continue, meaning to keep going or add to, prolong, continue the battle. Also, to resume after intermission, to continue. This is what he was building. This is what he built. He was continuing what he started. What did he start? He killed his brother. He killed his brother. So do you think he stopped killing just because he was put out? You think his attitude changed because he was cast out? In fact, his attitude got worse. Because he don't have nothing to govern him now. See, the nations on the outside knew about the nation of Adam. So he probably used that. Because he was allowed to keep the name, he was probably using that to continue what he was doing, what he did to his brother. There's nothing there to check him. So he continued or to keep going or to prolong a city. That word city means terror. Because one brother say, well, no, he built the city. Well, if he built the city, then how would he continue? How would the curse continue to be if Adam cursed him to be a wanderer, a nomad? A nomad means he don't have no place to go and he don't have nobody to be amongst. He's out there alone. So if he built the city, he's no longer a nomad. He continues his terror. He continues his terror, family. That's what city means. Look up city. Look up city, sis, and tell me what city come to see what you get with city. Just in case somebody say, well, you're saying that wrong.
City is a large town.
That's all you got?
Large town. A city is a community of people living within the limits of a municipality. In general usage today, city means a large populated area with major industries and services that function independently of other areas.
Okay, that's the definition, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's the Bible definition. Okay, we got the definition. We got the regular definition.
Yeah,
Let's look up the Bible. Let's look up the Bible definition.
okay.
That's Phoenician Hebrew number 55892. Tell me what you get. Do you see the word terror there? Just in case somebody say, well, that word don't mean terror. Do you see terror in that definition?
You said because you said
Terror.
52892, right?
Yeah, it's definition number 5892. Hebrew number 5892. And you don't see the word terror.
Terror, yeah. Anguish, terror.
Anguish and terror. He continue his terror. He continue his terror. He didn't build a city. He prolonged terror. He caused to continue his terror. See, this is what we say, well, it ain't about the definitions. It is about the definitions because now the definition is showing you inside of what the writer is trying to show you. It was about the terror. Need to mute yourself. It's about the terror. So he built the city, meaning he prolonged his terror. And the next line says, and called. Called means to proclaim or invite, a summon, commission. He appointed. He proclaimed the name. Or he commissioned the name. See, after his terror, he commissioned the name. The name means his reputation, his fame, his glory, or his memorial. Like many of you about to celebrate Monday, his memorial of what he's done. See, of the city, that word city means terror. His reputation is fame of terror. after the reputation or the memorial or the fame of his son. So that's the reason why he was dedicating. That's the reason why he called his son name Hanuk or Hanuk. It's because he taught his son, or he taught his son to have the same attitude as him. And his son carried that thing out in this manner. So wherever they was going, they were creating and causing terror. And he dedicated it to his son. His son of his son means a member of a group, a member of a guild. Look up that word G, the member of a guild. Type that in, sister, tell me what that means. G-U-I-L-D. The member of a guild. What that mean? What do guild means? G-U-I-L-D. What is a guild? See, a member of a guild, that's his son. Order, class, meaning a medieval. What that means, sis, guild?
It says a medieval association of craftsmen or merchants, often, often having considerable power.
So he's given, that's his son. His son had considerable power after he learned and began to exercise terror like him. So his son became just as powerful or powerful than him. That's why he dedicated everything after his son. Because his son became like him. So now verse 18. And unto Enoch was born Irad. Now, I want you to pay attention to this part. And the word "and" means to cause or help to bring forth. So now Hanuk or Hanuk is now moving in terror like his father, causing havoc wherever they go. And now his son Hanuk produced a son whose name was what? Who was born Irad. So "and" means to cause or to help bring forth. Unto Enoch or Hanuk. Which means, so Cain is showing his dedication through his son of terror. He allowed his son to bring forth the son. And that word "was born" means to beget or bring forth Irad. Irad is the grandson of Cain. So you see, Cain now got a grandson. He got a son, now he has a grandson. And that word Irad means what, sis? What do the word Irad means? I-R-A-D. What that word means?
Fugitive. It says
Irad means fugitive.
It says Idra is the son of Enoch and grandson of Cain.
Right?
Idra means fugitive or runner.
It means fugitive or runner. Okay. Go to Hebrew number 5897. Tell me what that means. Phoenician Hebrew 5897. It means runner, but what it means? It goes more specific now. What you got is something that's in the Navy. Do you see the word fleet? Do you see the word fleet?
I'm looking. It's um
That's 5897.
I see it. Yeah, it says fleet.
Fleet. So Irad means fleet. So Cain, through his grandson, the purpose of fleet management is to what? Supervise fleet operations for optimal business performance. What that mean? Ensuring that they contribute to profitability and other company goals. The benefit of a robust fleet management system includes increased safety and reliability. The overall purpose of fleet management is continue improvement within this. There are many goals, including tracking vehicles and equipment, increasing safety, monitoring the life cycle of commercial vehicles while lowering risk, boosting efficiency, enhancing productivity, and maintaining compliance within what? Regulations. So it says a fleet is usually a large group of ships, but it can be any group of vessels like planes or cars that operate as a unit. A Navy fleet is the largest formation of warships. A Navy fleet at sea is like an army on land. So stop. Why did he name his son Irad or Arad? And then that means fleet. What is going on? Because Cain is now, he went and began to expand his terror through his son. He dedicated. Every place he went, he caused terror through his son. And as he caused terror through his son, now his son had a baby, got a son, and now his son name is Irad, which is a fleet. So what is taking place now? A fleet manages things, but a fleet can also what? Spread out into different areas. So what is Cain doing? Cain is thinking about spreading out and controlling. And he's going to manage different areas through his bloodline. This sounds like a good thing, ain't it? This sounds like Genesis 1:26. I mean, well, 1:27, I think 27, 28, when he said, be fruitful, multiply, replenish, and subdue. So Cain is subduing. Cain is subduing. Cain sounds like he's putting a sword on everything. And ain't playing and taking no joke and no mess. Irad is the grandson of Cain. That's Cain's grandson. So through Cain, grandchild he's now spreading out. He's spreading out. He's now managing. He's managing different areas now. So Irad now, the grandchild of Cain, is now, he bring forth or beget Mehujael. And Mehujael, look up Mehujael, sis, and tell me what Mehujael means. I'm going to give you the Hebrew number. Because first he's dedicated. He's consecrating his son. Now he's bringing forth a fleet. He's spreading out now. So as he's spreading out, now what you get? Mehujael. He's controlling the areas that he's conquering now. And Mehujael is the Phoenician Hebrew 4232. Let's see if he forgave Adam. He's spreading out now. He's dedicating terror through his son. Through his grandson, he's now spreading things out to control it even better. Now he's in his great-grandson, Mehujael. Mehujael. What do Mehujael mean, sis?
Smitten of God.
It means smitten by God. So did God smite him? Did the Creator smite him? Or did his father or the nation smite him? See, he's calling God the nation. He was smitten by his nation. What the word smitten means, sis? He say through his great grand, he was smitten by God.
It says smitten, deeply affected with or struck by strong feelings of attraction. Then it has affected by something overwhelming.
So what you think is taking place?
I guess he may be overwhelmed.
He's overwhelmed because he's still hurt, or he's still angry, or he's still upset, or mad because he got put out. So he's showing that through his great-grandson, Mehujael. I was smitten by God, means my nation. See, smitten means to be crippled. See, smitten in the Hebrew word translated nakah, which also translate to be beaten, given stripes, punished, or to be crippled. We see this word is used in 2 Samuel 9:3. Pull that up, sis. 2 Samuel 9:3. See, he was beaten or punished See, Cain is still angry. Cain is still upset. Cain is only looking at himself. He's selfish still. So he haven't quit killing because he got put out of the garden. He's now extricating that thing even further.
I have it.
What you got?
And the king said, "Is there not yet any of the house of Saul, that I may show the kindness of the Creator unto him?"
Keep going.
And Zabah said unto the king, "Jonathan hath yet a son, which is lame on his feet."
See, he was smitten. He's punished. He's crippled. That word is smitten is being used in that essence as well for Jonathan. He's crippled. So he says, show kindness to Jonathan. See, Cain is mad. Cain is angry. See, we make it look like Cain just moved on and built the city and lived on lavishly and all happy. This how we look at the story. Cain is angry, man. Cain is upset. See, he came back. And it's like for him not having anything now, he don't have no nation no more. So he's building his own nation. And he's terrorizing everything that he come in contact with. This dude is out of control. See, this generation of Cain is showing how they were done by the nation of Adam when they were put out. He was not prepared to leave the nation, but he was cast out. He was cast out. Let's keep going. We about done. Let's keep going. We talking about Mahajiel. Mahajiel means smitten by God. Now let's look at the next one. Mahajiel beget Methusael. Methusael. Okay? Let's look at what the word Methusael means. Methusael. That's Phoenician Hebrew, sis. 4967. What Methusael means. See, the last one was smitten by God.
It means man of God.
Man of God? That's what you got?
You said 4967, right?
Yeah, let me see. Let me make sure.
It says man of God, a descendant of Cain.
No, can't say the man of God. That's number where's the number at? 42, 32. That's what you pull up?
I pulled up 4967.
4967. Okay, 4967. And you say man of God?
It says Methuselah, man of God,
Mm-hmm.
okay, a descendant of Cain.
Okay, okay. Mine's got who is of God. Who is of God? You don't have that one?
Well, when I go down to the what says the Strong's Hebrew lexicon, it says a with relative interposed man who is of God.
Okay. So now you went from smitten of God to now who is of God. So what God are they talking about? What God are they talking about? See, you went from being smitten, punished by God. Now the next generation is he's a man of God. He is of God. See, when Cain did not make amends and allow sin to stretch in him, he was no longer in touch with himself nor the creator. He was being controlled by what? Desires. So when it says who is of God or the man of God, it's talking about of his desires. So now what God he now become a part of? I just went through all them gods of the serpent. His generation is being now controlled by the serpent. His generation is now being controlled by the serpent, the desires of Cain. And Methuselah beget, meaning he's bringing forth Lamech. Okay, he's bringing forth Lamech. He's being now controlled by the God of the realm that is now controlling everything else. Because he allows sin to stretch out of him. He no longer is in control of himself now. Now his desires are in control of him. Lamech, sister, is Hebrew number, Phoenician Hebrew, 3929. He's bringing forth Lamech. And when he brought forth Lamech, Lamech means what? 3929. Lamech means because what you got?
A descendant of Cain, also descendant of Seth.
Right, what do Lamech means?
It's a descendant of Cain.
You see powerful?
You go into it. Yes, powerful.
Powerful. So now Cain came from his son, came from his son, Sanuk or Kanuk, to his sixth generation, Cain became powerful. Cain became powerful. See, so did he become powerful for the good, or did he become powerful for the bad? Let's go to verse 19. Let's go to verse 19, chapter 4, verse 19. And this is what it says. And Lamech took himself 2 wives. The name of one was Adah, and the name of the second was Zillah. Okay. The name of one was Adah, and the name of the second was Zillah, or Zillah. Okay, or Zillah. Now, when we go in the word "and" means enfold, meaning to fold inward or towards one another, or inviginate. That means to be turned inside out or folded back on oneself to form a cavity or pouch. This word, this was talking about his attitude being folded inward in order to attract things that will future. This was talking about his attitude being folded. Dog it. Got him. His attitude being folded inward in order to attract things that will future, that will further the agenda for the blood lineage. So, excuse me. So now Lamech is now thinking of how can he expand the lineage further than Cain did or his father. So now in Lamech, which is the fifth lineage descended from Cain, took means to lay hold or receive unto him two means a couple of wives or women or females. Name meaning the reputation, the fame, or the glory, or the memorial. So he took 2 women he took them by their reputation or their fame or their glory. How well people knew about them and how well and the things that was about them. That's like when you see today, men run behind women that, that has some type of reputation or some type of glory about them. So this was going on with Lamech. And one of the one, meaning a certain or to go one way or another, to be sharp. So he took one that had a certain, that was certain. And her name was Adam. That word Adam means ornament. See, she reminded him of an ornament, meaning a thing used to make something look more attractive, but usually having no practical purpose, especially a small object such as a figurine, meaning she was just there for decoration. He just got her there for decoration. Of the other means to do again or change or alter. So now he's gaining another one. Her name is Zillah. Zillah means, in that word means shade. S-H-A-D-E. Shade, meaning comparative darkness or coolness caused by shelter from direct sunlight. What does it mean to shade someone? See, she became a shade to Lamech. That word, it means to criticize someone or something publicly and show that you do not respect them. That's when you shade somebody. So the second wife of Lamech and the mother of Tubal Cain, an instructor of every craftsman in bronze and iron. This came from Zillah's side. So what's going on from Zillah? Her side began to understand what? Craftsmen of every craftsman in bronze and iron. So what do you use bronze and iron for? What do we use that for? See? He got two wives now. Lamech. This is where you first see the two wives come from. It comes from Cain's side of the family. He was the first to get these two wives. His side, his lineage. And one of the lineage was when it got down to the sixth generation or the fifth lineage of the generation, he got two wives, Lamech. And Lamech is now gaining one for ornament, decoration, and the other one was for what? Shade, to cover him. Let's go to verse 20. We're going to end it on verse 20. Verse 20 says, and Adar bore Jabal. He was the father of those who dwell in tents and have livestock. He was the father of those who dwell in tents and livestock. See? And means travail, Adar. Adar means ornament. She brought forth, she bare means to bring forth Jubal. Jubal means a stream of water. So the son of Lamech by Adar, the brother of Jubal, described as the father of such as dwell in tents and have cattle, meaning this man stayed by water. This woman, Adar, her son, they live by water. They stay by water and livestock. See? Stay by water and livestock. But Zillah, her son, Tubal Cain, was a craftsman in bronze and iron. See, so now the attributes of Cain is now being passed down to both sides. Brass and iron and livestock. But notice they also living in tents. So when you see somebody living in tents, that's not the Israelites. That's Cain's side. Let's keep going. He was the father of such as dwell in tents and cattle. Okay, so Jabal, he lived by streams of water, which means streams of water. He means Jabal means he existed or he become the father of such as dwell, means to be liberated, be saved, or be delivered. So he was liberated in tents. Tents in tents means nomad tents. And thus symbolic the wilderness life, trans science, meaning they could pick up and go any way they want to go. They was not no stationary people. That's how you know Cain did not build no city. And cattle, meaning the in general of a what? A purchasable or domestic animal. See, in cattle, you could travel them with you any which way you go. Verse 22, and this is the last verse we're going to end with. And it says, and for Zillah, she also born Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every craftsman in bronze and iron, and the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Okay, we're going to end it right here. This way we're going to pick it up next week in the Creator's will. We have to remember that if one lived in tents and lived with cattle, and the other one was the father of brass and iron, you have to now pay attention to what's really about to take place. Okay? "21 says what? His brother name was Jabal. He was the father of those who played the harp and the flute." So Jabal played the harp and flutes. He was musical. He was talented. Jabal lived in tents, had livestock. He was talented. He played the harp and flute. And Zillah also bare Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every craftsman. Every craftsman.
So they all had talents to kind of help them to survive and work through things that they needed, like a musician, a herder, someone who could create and make things.
Correct. And don't forget they had that attitude of what? War. So that wasn't no pleasant people. Lamech, he now has 2 wives. One wife produced the bronze and the iron, and the other wife produced what? Agriculture, tents, flute, well, music. So you got 2 sides. You have 2 sides. Now the question is, when he got these 2 wives, are they going to work together or are they going to clash? We're going to pick up on verse 23 next week in the Shabbat, in the Creator's will. Is Cain in control of his seed line? Because he didn't have 2 wives. But in the 5th generation, Lamech did. And now he's producing out 2 lineages. We'll see where it's going to go at next week. I told you it's going to get interesting. Can the energy of Cain be saved? Any last words? Because we have to remember, Cain is being punished. Cain is being punished.
So with him being punished, that's going to go down. That's going to travel through his seed line.
Correct.
So when would that? Would it be? Would it ever be broken or no?
We have to wait. Because you got to remember, he's building a whole new legacy because he can't go back home.
Right.
So he can't go back home. So you got two seed lines coming in now. And both of them collide and coincide with each other? Because notice the two sisters ain't teaching the two sons the same thing. You see what I'm saying?
So that's conflict right there.
Okay. Let's look up two more words and then we're going to close out. Let's look up the word harp. That's Phoenician Hebrew 3658. They say such handled the harp. What is the harp? Harp is what? Let's get a scripture. Let's close it out with two scriptures. Let's close it out. Let's go to Genesis 31 and 27 for this one, for the harp. You got it? Or you want me to read it?
You said Genesis 30.
31, 27.
Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly and steal away from me? And didst not tell me that I might have sent thee away with mirth and with songs, with tabret and with harp?
And with harp. So you see, harp came in after. That's Cain's descendants that started the harp, the music. That's Cain's people. But that thing ended up spreading all over. Well, we're going to get into something. But let's look at the next one. It says harps and let me grab it. He says harps and I'm trying to find out. I lost my place. Okay, an organ. That is the Phoenician Hebrew. That's Phoenician Hebrew 5747. And we're gonna close out. Give you the last word. Phoenician Hebrew 5748. That's organ. And the scripture that's talking about a pipe or a flute. In the scripture we're gonna end it with. Let's go to Job 21 and 12. See, this is where you get into the falling at.
Okay. Did you say Hebrew 5747 or 48?
That's Hebrew number.
The 48 says perhaps a flute.
Yeah, 5748. That's an organ or a flute. Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because see, the organ is a flute. You see what I'm saying? These instruments, when you look at the instruments, they're pretty much the same. They just come in with different sounds. So Job 21:12, what it says.
They take the timbrel and harp and rejoice at the sound of the organ.
Of the organ. Now we're gonna get into the sound. We're gonna get into the instruments on next Shabbat, because see, all this came in from Cain's people. They enhanced this thing. See, they started this thing. Music. Bronze and iron. Tents. Last verses before we close out.
Just want to say all praises to the Most High for another Shabbat, for Pentecost, and just to thank Him for letting us see another Shabbat, and for the class that went forth today, for the information that was presented. Very informative. Kind of makes you think and get your mind kind of the wheels turning. Well, it has the wheels turning in my head just thinking about some things that you had said, and about the different those different powers, and just about the harps and about the flutes, and just about the lineage of Cain thus far. So all praises for the class.
Okay, all praises. And you got to remember too that the serpent system has different points and it has different gods. So if you didn't see Adam and Eve doing it, then why now is it starting to come out with Cain? Because Cain is in his 5th generation with Lamech. So now he's far away from his nation. And as he's now living amongst the serpent, do you think he's going to reflect the nation's attributes?
You mean those of the serpent?
No, go ahead. What you say?
You saying is he going to reflect the ones of the serpent, the attributes of the serpent?
Yeah, no, his nation. Is he going to? He's in his 5th generation amongst the serpent system. And now, do you think he's really in his 5th generation is going to reflect the attributes of the nation of Adam?
No,
that's gone.
Right. And I mean, that just lets you know, just because it comes down your seed line doesn't mean it's going to reflect the things that was taught to them. A lot of times they go their own ways and they have their own separate ways of doing things, as you can see with Cain. And it's just like a revolving door. And it's nothing new under the sun, because what happened then is happening now.
Correct. And Cain he's in his 5th generation now. And he's now in his 5th generation, and now he's moving forth. And now his 5th generation got two women. He's separating himself. Cain's seed line is separating itself directly, strictly away from the sons of Adam. It's a whole new lineage now. Because that lineage is not even recognized by Adam no more. Now it does start taking on a life of itself. And now you have something going on. We're going to catch it up on next Shabbat. Same time, same channel. We're going into the next part. The war between the male and the female. Now we're dipping into the Cain's lineage. So we thank you for joining us today. And if this is your Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. And if this is not, and you just joining us, hey, thank you for joining us. But don't forget to press that like button, that share button, and that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to the channel. And if you like to give, there's the donation at the bottom. But we thank the Creator for you joining us. And I hope you learned something today. We're gonna go a little further than this. So we thank the Creator for you joining us, and we hope that the rest of your Shabbat continue, or the rest of your day continue to be peaceful, restful, and relaxful. And we'll see you on next Shabbat in the Creator's will. Shalom.
Shalom.